Hey everyone, I'm here with Julia Liss, and amongst many things, she's a makeup artist, a yogi. She's on a mission of self-discovery while encouraging and inspiring others to enjoy and embrace each day. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Michael.
I'm so excited about this conversation.
Me as well.
So you and I met outside of yoga because we both happened to arrive 30 minutes early by accident.
Yes.
We thought
that
the
was
class,
really interesting.
Yeah, it was like a soul sort of agreement. We both were certain the class started at a certain time when it was 30 minutes later.
Exactly. I think it was like at 10:30, but both of us were there thinking it was 10 o'clock. So people were still in class that day.
Yeah.
So we got to hang out till class got started.
Yeah, got to hang out, have like a nice little conversation and get to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were planning on getting breakfast, didn't work, and so I'd seen your Instagram. So one of the main reasons why I'm very excited to do this interview with you is because of these photos that you've been posting on your Instagram of you like a year ago or so.
It was exactly a year ago, basically, last May.
And I'll put some of the pictures on the screen, and it looks like, skeleton. Like you were like close to death, just in a state that is remarkable to see. To see the human body in that form is crazy. And then to see your transformation, because I just met you a little bit ago, mm-hmm. and you have such great energy and you just seem so healthy and vibrant. And I remember I wanted to talk to you about it over breakfast or coffee or something, but we didn't get a chance. And now, I see why that didn't happen, was because it was meant to be recorded the first time we got to talk about it. So yeah, I'm very interested in how you got to that state and kind of your journey to get to this beautiful being that you are right now.
Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh. Well, I guess it's quite the story. I don't really know exactly where to begin with that, but I guess I'll just begin with, I got to a really scary place because mentally I was in such a dark place. It really stemmed from depression, hating myself, and just feeling undeserving of life. And I was taking on things that had happened to me in my life and blaming and just thinking life was happening to me. Like I had no control. So I felt really out of control. So with this sense of or lack of control, I wanted to control something in my life. So it started off pretty innocently after kind of a rough breakup. There were already like signs that just my whole life was kind of in shambles. But after a breakup, and kind of like in the midst of it, I just started to I realized if I like limited what I ate, I just didn't feel like I really was on this planet anymore. Like I wasn't fully cognizant. I was kind of dulled down. My emotions were just kind of numb. So it began with that. It was a way that I felt like I was in control of things. It was a distraction from what was really going on with life. So that began, and the more I wasn't taking care of myself, the more I hated myself. I was giving up on things that I had. I worked at a salon and it was my favorite job I had ever had, but I actually called in and quit. Like I quit because I didn't feel I deserved that. And that was kind of a reoccurring theme. I kept doing that with things, with people, relationships, friendships. I just didn't feel deserving and wouldn't show up for it. So I guess back to like getting to such a scary place. Mentally, I was going down just a really bad path. My actions were showing like I didn't care about myself. I didn't care about anything. So I had actually started to kind of have like a spiritual awakening when this was happening, but I wasn't really ready for it. Things were coming to me, and I didn't know why I felt I had this like guidance and something kind of watching over me, even though I was out of control. Like something was keeping me still here and going. So I have this weird breakup. I'm losing control. I'm quitting my job. And then I run away to California because I think I'm going to go find myself. I kind of had this sense of like, well, I am having this like awakening. Maybe I just need to go out there, just forget what's here and find who I really am. And I wanted to just go to the ocean. And again, I'm not fully thinking like optimally. I'm delirious. I'm malnourished. Not to this extent though. If you looked at me, you're like, that girl probably needs to like take care of herself a little better. She probably needs to gain a little bit of weight, but it wasn't horrifying by any means. I don't know. I guess everybody has their opinion of what horrifying looks like. But yeah, so I ran away to California, and that's where I like truly like just lost myself. All of my demons kind of like came out, and I was truly out of control. And when I was there, I decided I wanted to get help dealing with things, but I wasn't ready to commit. So I met it with a friend that was there. It was actually one of my ex-boyfriend's older sisters. Her and I just had this connection, and I felt like she was somebody I could go to. And so she was scared, and her and I agreed that I'm going to get help. So we went to get help, and they asked me to go to a hospital where there was a doctor that just said, no, you're not going to this like treatment center that you want to go to. Like you need to stay here. And so I was stuck in a psych ward.
So is that around the time when all these pictures that you...
No, this is before this.
This is before that? Yeah.
So I went to the psych ward just, mentally out of control and a little bit underweight, but really out of control and not knowing how to take care of myself. And that was what he got me for in this hospital. He said he court committed me for grave disability, unable to provide food, water, shelter, basic care to yourself.
So that means he can like keep you there?
Yeah, so I was committed to the state of California.
Wow.
Every 14 days.
How did that feel?
It was, I felt powerless, and I literally gave up. Like I told myself, my life is over.
Wow.
I am done. And every day, like I'd wake up there. There was a phone there that was like attached to the wall, like this far away, because it's like there were a lot of people with, a lot of instabilities. I was in a completely different state. I knew nobody there. My family was extremely far away in Iowa, and everybody just kind of said, you got yourself here. Here you are. You have to deal with this. So in this place, I wasn't in a mental state to take care of myself. Like I had decided while I was there, this is it. I'm done. I don't care anymore. Like I believed I wasn't getting out, and I believed that this was just my life. So I just started to like live that way. I gave up. I ended up not being able to prove that I could take care of myself, and I lost 30 more pounds while I was in this hospital. And that was when they called my family and said, you need to pick her up. Like, we can't do anything.
So you just stopped eating?
I ate, but not enough to survive.
Yeah.
And my body needed more and more, the more it was just broken down. I think I was so drained just emotionally from all the anger and hatred and depression and guilt that I was like harboring. I felt guilty all the time, and I felt just so angry, and that takes so much out of you too.
Yeah.
So I didn't think I truly knew how to take care of myself. Like before, I was kind of faking it till I made it. Like I was sort of adulting. I was going, before people would see me on the street, and I was just, doing what I needed to do. I looked like a normal human being. People had their ideas about me, which probably were better than how I thought of myself at the time. People probably wanted to be my friend, but I didn't think I deserved friends. And a lot of that comes from just things that happen as we grow up, and stories we start to tell ourselves. And I started telling myself a pretty negative story at a young age, which I've realized it's not true. Like we create so many stories. We create stories about other people. Like, for example, nobody will have the same story of who you are. Like your mom and your dad won't have the same story. Your sister doesn't have the same story. Like, I don't know if you have a sister.
I don't, yeah. Okay. But my brother doesn't have the same.
No.
Yeah, we all have
so
our own
everybody has a
unique.
different, unique story about something else, but we also have a completely different story about ourselves, which we have the capability of changing that story. Like every day, every moment, we can change what our story is. And this is a beautiful gift that I've realized in this, that if I don't like something right this second, I can change it. Like if I'm unhappy with this tea I'm drinking, I can just go get a different flavor of tea, and then I'll be happy.
Yeah.
So even with our thoughts. So if I have a thought that stirs up an unpleasant emotion, I have the next moment that I can choose to have a thought that doesn't do that.
I met this numerologist who would say, life is like a diner. Like, order what you want, and if you get the wrong item, send it back. Make sure you demand that you get what you ordered in life. So take us to sort of that turning point, like when it got to a point where
it was really scary. So I was in this hospital, and there were not mirrors because they didn't want people staring at themselves all day or whatnot in this place. So I truly didn't know what I looked like. I also was like not allowed to go in the bathroom because they didn't want me like looking at. There was a mirror in a couple of the bathrooms, and it was really scary. So I still thought of myself in my head how I had always seen myself until, they've called my family to come get me. My family comes out. They're horrified. My mom, who came to visit me, said, I can't take her. Like, I'm really scared. I don't think she can survive like a train ride home. Wow. My mom doesn't fly, so she takes trains. It's really cute. So her and my brother came out. And so my dad came out to pick me up, and I got on a plane, got back to Iowa. We kind of had all these plans to, get help.
And when you saw yourself in the mirror, like...
When I got back, it was weird. I have almost this like disconnect with what I was seeing, my body. I've gone through so many I've just realized my body's just it's not who I am at all. In seeing myself in such like a place nobody, like I've seen what my insides look like basically. I've seen what my skeleton looks like. That's really scary. I've seen myself, as I was before all of this, but I never liked that person. I always thought that person was never good enough. She was ugly, wasn't up to my standards or society's standards for beauty. But that's not who I've realized I am. Just going through. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. But
no, that's great. Yeah,
going from a state of literally being seen as a monster, and that's how people saw me. Like some people, that's how they met me when I first went into the hospital. Like, they met me as this extremely deathly ill human being that looked very scary. It was hard to look at somebody like me. It really was. People didn't want to, and they treated me different. If those people saw me now, like,
wow.
they would treat me completely different. So it's made me also realize, like, it's not the physical, like, how you should never treat somebody based on the way that they look, because you don't know what their heart is like. You don't know what they can give to the world and what they have to offer. So, the people that gave me a chance when I was not my optimal self and not the Julia I am today, they still saw something, and that was really cool to know that I wasn't gone. So I guess back to, like, realizing I was in a real bad place when I came back to Iowa. I got back to my mom's house, and I was able to, like, get around. And I think the tipping point really was, I'm the kind of person that likes to, like, do things, and I'm not just gonna, like, sit there and get me a glass of water. Like, I'm gonna get up and get it. Mm-hmm. But it was when I wasn't able to do those things for myself, and I needed that kind of help because I physically couldn't get up. I couldn't walk anymore.
Wow.
And that was the scariest thing. Like, I realized things were so bad when I couldn't get around, and I actually had to, like, ask for a wheelchair. And at first, so when that kind of happened, it was the day that I decided with my mom, it's time, I have to go to the hospital. We had called an ambulance to come to my house because I thought I was dying. Kind of like nights before I actually went to the hospital.
Which you might have been. I mean,
yeah, I was laying in bed, and I just felt like I was in this weird in and out kind of place. Like, wow. I'm kind of here, but I'm not here. And it was scary. My heart rate would just slow, and it felt really peaceful and really good. And that was also scary too, because I felt like there was, like, this happiness that was there, but something was like, no, you can't go yet. You can't go.
Wow.
So that was kind of this weird thing that had started happening, and I think that's when I was like, okay, I don't see myself like this. Like, this wasn't where my life was supposed to go. As soon as I started sensing, like, or feeling that, I'm not meant to die. I wasn't meant to be unable to walk. I'm meant to be able to run around outside. I'm meant to be able to, like, share beauty with people. Like, I do makeup. I love being in nature. I live in Austin, Texas. Like, I live by the Greenbelt. Like, I wasn't near any of those things. I wasn't doing any of those things. And there were all these things I still wanted that I didn't have. Like, I wanted friendships with people. I wanted real connection. And that was always something that I was almost scared of. So all these things kind of flashed before me that I had never done that I still needed. So, as soon as I was losing everything, like losing the ability to walk, losing the ability to do anything for myself, it was like, no, I'm going to do these things. And so I went into the hospital, and I was told I was in liver failure. Wow. My liver enzymes were in the 6,000s, and they're supposed to be in, like, the 30s.
Dang.
So at first, like, obviously they knew that it was like a malnutrition issue. They had to have. The doctor kind of left it up to, like, well, what got you here? And it just seemed almost like, how does somebody get to that point? If I would have been here, I don't think that would have. I honestly don't know. That was where my life led me. I guess there was no other choice. There was no other place. That was what every action and every decision that I made led me to that point.
Yeah.
So,
to experience all of that.
Yeah.
And that was about a year ago or so?
Yeah, so May 5th was when I went into the hospital, 2018, a year ago.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow,
And,
that's amazing.
yeah, and then I was transferred to the university hospital when the hospital in my hometown was like, yeah, you need some more care. We can't do that here. They wanted me to see a specialist, where I bounced around on some medical floors, and that was really scary. For about 2 weeks, it was life is a gamble. Like every moment is, we don't know what's going to happen. And that's what my doctor told me. It was every time we'd come in, like they were just, we're happy to see you today. We're happy to see you right now. Like my family was spending the night with me. My mom works at the hospital, and she doesn't like, she's not the kind of person that even like staying in like a motel. She's kind of just, she likes her bed, her comfy place. She doesn't like even traveling. So for her to pull out like the pull-out couch and stay there and shower in like the hotel or the hospital showers, where then she has to go to work, like that meant a lot. And just seeing my family come together for that. My parents are divorced, and they both were able to be there with me. That's also where I was able to realize, like, I had these friends that were coming to visit me. I had friends, and all these years I told myself I had nobody. So everything started to really come to light of like who I was, and this story I had been telling myself was so false. And I was starting to see, like, there are these amazing friends. I have a good family. I have so much, and I went all this time believing that I didn't. So yeah.
So then what was the recovery like?
Yeah, so I'm in the hospital. It's really scary. There I'm told I'm 65 pounds.
65
I'm 5'7".
pounds.
That's
Wow.
really horrifying. Yeah, really scary. The recovery process was long, very long. I feel like it took about a year. I think I've reached I feel finally that I've reached recovery. But I was a really impatient person before all of this, and being put in a situation where you have to live day by day, or you're not gonna make it. Like at first I was impatient. I wanted to do all these things. I went into the hospital in May, and at first I believed, let's just make me better. And in June I want to go to Warped Tour, and I want to like, be doing the things that I like to do during the summer. But reality struck, and that wasn't going to happen. And every day was slow. You don't just go back to the person you were. You can't just be pumped full of something to become a full human being again. So the recovery process was, for me, I had like oral nutrition added to my diet. It was never something where like I didn't like. I actually really freaking love food. Like I love to cook. I love everything about flavors. I'm a really artistic person, so that's something I really enjoyed. So even in the hospital, like I told them like I wanted to get better, and I knew that I needed to do these things, and I knew that I had created these, mental blockages that were saying like fears of things and stories like this food is going to do this to me, and it was kind of overcoming that slowly. You have to start to like desensitize yourself to things, and you have to slowly do something that scares yourself every day. So you have to, eat the thing you told you you're gonna make you gain 20 pounds, which you realize like, no, this is actually helping me. So for myself, it was following this plan. I had like a meal plan where I had to like follow so many calories. At first I got to like pick my foods, but I would even with what I had, I'd try to make something nice of it. And then I realized while I was there, my body just wasn't responding to the nutrition. it was too much to digest and process all of that. Like, my body was working so hard to do that, and everything to turn back on and just try to work itself out was kind of freaking out. So we introduced an NG tube, and I was getting tube fed. So
you're getting tube fed,
like a formula.
Yeah.
So I had that for about a month or so.
Wow.
About
And
3 weeks.
that helped?
It did. It was actually magical. So at first, like, things were going downhill when I got to the hospital. Like, I was not doing good. All of my electrolytes, my chemical balances, I was like losing weight in the hospital. My eyes were getting more sunken in. Like, I was withering away. I wasn't able to move anymore. As I said, like, I couldn't walk, but at this point, like, I couldn't lift my head up. Things got worse before they got better. So it was a couple weeks of things getting worse. And then that was when I had a doctor that kind of empowered me in a way. He never was pushy with anything. There was another doctor, super pushy, like, wanted to just take control of everything, thought he knew best. But this doctor wanted me to know that I have the power and I can make these decisions. And he helped guide me to the best decisions that I could make for myself in that moment. And he knew I was scared, but this guy was so good at conveying, like, the message of, you know, just what was going to help, that aligned with my values and my morals. I didn't want to take a ton of medications and stuff, and he agreed. We don't need to do that. It's not necessary.
Nice.
And when it came to kind of like the feedings, he listened to me. He listened to the things that I didn't want and the things that I did want, and he made accommodations. And then when it got to the point of like life or death, and he had a real discussion, like, I believe you need this NG tube to give you nutrition to help. Things aren't going to get better if we don't introduce this, and we don't know what's going to happen if you don't. And so I spent hours pondering that with my family, going back and forth. Like, I had these fears, but if I just gave these fears a chance, and let's just see what happens. And that's kind of where we left it. So I let him tube me up, and it was crazy. Almost immediately, like within the next few days, I started to be able to like lift my head by myself. I could roll over in bed. I mean, even just like maybe 5-6 days into it, I was able to like get out of bed by myself. I could take steps. Like, I was starting to be able to function again. And it was so incredible. It was like empowering. It was just all these things that I was doing something that was taking care of me. It didn't feel like it was sort of my decision still. It was still uncomfortable. It was still scary, and I didn't like it fully, but it was doing something good for me. So I was living with the uncomfortable, and I was just trusting this process of life.
And it was just the tube at that point?
And food. So I was eating like my 3 meals a day plus the tube all night long while I slept.
What's in the tube? Like, is it just nutrients?
It's formulas. It's basically like lots of protein to rebuild muscles, skin, tissues, organs. Lots of proteins, fats, carbohydrates. It's basically like the perfect like macro breakdown for a human being. It was actually like kosher and really relatively like, I think it was high quality ingredients.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking at the ingredients and everything that was in it because I was super anal like that at the time.
Yeah.
But that was important to me. I wanted to know what I was putting into my body, especially knowing that I had to rebuild a body. And so that was kind of an amazing thing. I think that helped drive where I wanted to go, because I was like, okay, right now I can either choose death or I can choose life. And if I choose death, I'm gone. My physical being is gone, so I can't, that's my vehicle to be in this realm that I get to live in. Or I can build this person that can drive who I am. in this world. So that's what I wanted. I wanted to choose that one.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I started. And I realized, yeah, I just have to trust this process and start nourishing me to rebuild. And it was a lengthy process. So once I was on the tube for about three weeks at least, and they had transferred me to another floor where it was a long wait. It was a long process. I was not healthy enough to be out in the world. I wasn't. I was not in a place where, I still couldn't walk. I couldn't get around very well, and I needed a lot of like emotional support as well as the physical and for healing. So I spent from the end of May, June, July, August in a hospital, following a program every day, just trusting the process until I reached a certain weight where I was safe to leave. And that was slower than I expected. I wanted it to be done. I wanted to just be better, but it is a process, and that taught me patience. I had to be really patient and live in the moment. And at first it was hard. It was really hard, and I was angry, and I acted out by yelling or verbally abusing people with swear words. Like I wasn't kind at the time. Like I was a kind person, and I think I always have been, but when you're in a state where you have no control, sometimes weird things come out. So
yeah.
I was angry, and I just wanted things to speed up. I didn't want to be stuck in there. Again, life was going on outside. I was finally able to see my phone. So in California, I had no access to phone. I had no access to everybody's social media, anything. I didn't know what was going on in the world. I had a newspaper. I could see what was going on in San Diego, California, but not anywhere else really. I guess, yeah, world news, that was in there too. But
so kind of like who you were as you were going into that phase, that like dark phase,
mm-hmm.
and then like who you are now. Like you seem like a completely different person.
Yeah.
Did you become this new person through this whole process? Was it the healing process? Was it the near-death experience? Like how did you become the bright being that you are now?
I think it was almost like I had to, it sounds really terrible, but like kill off my old self in order to like become the person I am now.
Wow.
I was not a happy person. I was not enjoying life. I wasn't able to live in the moment. I had so many anxieties, so many insecurities. But yeah, I think I had to go through something to really like truly humble me and teach me that life doesn't have to be so difficult. Like I have choices, and things aren't happening to me. I am in control. And that was where, like, in that whole process, I was able to learn I do have control. Like every day I have control of my choices. And being in a place where my world became so small in a hospital, like my world was super tiny. My choices were pretty easy. It was a good way to practice integrating that into my life and learning patience. Like, okay, today this is happening. Yeah. I had like small little goals there. Getting out of a chair was a goal. Being able to walk. Last July, I worked for like weeks and months to be able to try to shoot a basketball because everybody would go to the gym and I could go, but I didn't have any momentum to like shoot it or jump. But yeah, it was the end of July. I like shot my basketball, but that was something like just that silly little goal that I had. It meant so much for me to be able to see it, and that was progress.
Yeah. Just
see progress. So yeah, I just slow it down to be who I am.
Wow, that's incredible. What a remarkable journey you've been on. So like, where are you now? Like what's next for you? Where do you what's your exciting next step?
That's a good question. I really want to be able to share with other people the power that they have, and that we don't have to be stuck in, our traumas and our hardships in life. Like, everybody's dealt things, and we don't have to let those things define us. And I want to just be able to support other people in realizing just how amazing we truly are. And it's not defined by what we look like on the outside or what we're doing for our job. It's like who we are and what we can give back to other people. So through this, I've also recognized that connection is everything. I was isolating myself so much before when all this was happening. I wasn't open to friendships. Like, I was just so closed off. And I'm just realizing just having people around and just making connections with people, it opens up your mind and makes you realize that you're so much more than you think you are. Somebody else can inspire you. So I'm just trying to be inspired by other people and live doing something that I enjoy. I don't know, right now I do makeup at Sephora, and I'm making it, something that I enjoy. I mean, I've been doing it for almost 5 years, and I've gone through points of not enjoying it. But yeah, I'm finding enjoyment in kind of everything I do. And if something isn't bringing me happiness, I'm leaving that in the past. So
nice. I really see that empowered choice from you.
Yeah.
Choose what you want. If you don't want it in your life, it's not going to be in your life.
I definitely have learned the power of choices, and we're all given that. It's just we're not told that, or even if we are, I don't think we always believe that we have that power. And it's a big deal. I think being able to even share that with somebody so like a young person can really empower them.
Yeah, I wish that someone had told me the power of choice younger, like to really think about how magnificent choice is. Like, you can think anything you want, and you can choose to create that path for yourself in the future. Mm-hmm. Wow, well, you truly are an inspiration.
Thank you, Michael.
And I appreciate you sharing with me and just with everyone who's watching. Like, I'm sure you're inspiring a lot of people who are in places that they find themselves in, maybe similar to you or just a similar mindset. So like, you're quite a testament to show that it's possible to just become who you want.
It's kind of mind over matter. You just have to make the decision that you see yourself as a higher being. I didn't see myself as this sick person, and I saw myself as this beautiful woman, but I had never met her before. Like, it wasn't the person I was before all of this. And I wanted that person back then too, but
so you always had that vision of who
this
you
vision
wanted.
of like, there's this person, but I didn't believe that I deserved to feel these things that I'm feeling now. So
wow, it's so wonderful.
Yeah, it's when you're able to just be authentically you without worrying about what other people think and just living your life. It makes things a lot easier. We're just here to be happy and share with other people.
I love it. Wow. So how can people find you online? What would be a good way, like Instagram or?
Yeah, I have Instagram. I think that's probably the best way to find me. Maybe I'll have a YouTube soon. We were talking about that.
Cool. Well, if you do, I'll put it in the description for the video once that's out.
But Julia Liss is my Instagram. That's my name.
Awesome. So people can find you on Instagram and continue to be inspired and follow your journey, because I'm sure it's just begun.
Yeah, it feels like it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. This has been such a fun conversation.
Thank you for having me. Sorry if I rambled. I'm a rambler.
Oh no, that was absolutely perfect. Like the story, the depth of that story was just so wonderful. So thank you.
You're welcome.